Welcome to Daddy Porter's double coverage with me, Daddy Porter, and my esteemed colleague, Bears fan galore, Matt Clark. How are you doing
Yo,
this
yo,
week?
yo. What's
Uh,
going on? I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
you pretty good, but you know what's going on. We were running around in shorts and t-shirts and watching men run really fast and jump really fast and
The
all kinds
Underwear
of things.
Olympics.
Yeah, yes. It's interesting that men love to do this, but we'll keep that, aside.
Yeah, that's
That's something, isn't it?
yeah.
But it was something because there's always movers and shakers, and there's people that really, really stand out. And it's just really an interesting time. One of the things that I think is underrated about the combine before we get into all the things is that networking that the GMs do. I think,
Yeah.
right before and we see some deals coming out here, which we may talk about, but this is like the precursor to free agency, which we will cover harder in 2 weeks because it starts next week, y'all. Tampering, Matt
Mhm.
said start next Monday, and then the real signings start next Wednesday, I think, Matt, right?
Yeah,
And then
Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, is like
but
the day for it.
this is really the precursor because all of the GMs, except for Jacksonville's GM, which we can talk about if we want, were there to talk about, and this is where like those deals start to happen. And then, like I said, we saw at least 2 deals recently. And then, of course, it's, the display of the young men and, a lot of these things too, Matt. Before we even get into the details, some of these numbers mean something, and some of them just it doesn't seem like they do it like the fastest guy in the NFL or the fastest guy at the combine. So before we get
Right.
into that, I would like to see what what are these, it's over, but like what were you looking for specifically that came out of the combine as far as numbers wise and how that all adds up?
So I don't necessarily look at numbers. I think the numbers are interesting, but like I don't care about necessarily like it's gonna sound weird, but if you're a there's like a slow 4-5 and a fast 4-5, if that makes sense. Like if there's somebody that is struggling to hit that 4-5, or there is somebody that makes it look light and breezy, that like maybe they're not going full gear for this, because a lot of the guys are very aware that blowing your ACL here is going to cost you millions of dollars, and you could end up on a shit team that's just like, oh, in the seventh round, we'll take a flyer on you. Like there are guys that will. I'm not saying that anyone's phoning it in. I'm saying that there's guys that don't kick it up to that elite gear. We see it
Mhm.
all the time. Like it's the reason that we see these like second and third round guys that don't get combine invites, and they're like, where the hell did this person come from? And then they're just like an absolute baller. Antonio Brown, as crazy as he is, wasn't a combine guy,
Mhm.
and he's a mega talent on the field. If you take his brain out of the equation, he's an absolute mega talent on the field.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so there's also that factor in too. Like there are people that don't even show up to the combine. There are people that don't work out at the combine. I know Caleb Williams, for example, showed up, did zero workouts at the combine. And then you have somebody like Rome, who was so mad at one of his scores, he stayed until 9 o'clock the one day, just redoing the drills in front of people. And there were 3 teams that stayed there and watched him do the drills over and over and over again, see how his
Mhm.
processing was, see how his learning was. That like that's just 2 examples of like the same, like the different sides of the coin there.
Mhm.
Um, it can also make you a ton of money. If you go here and show out and you just put on an absolutely incredible show, you're rising up the draft. You're
Mhm.
gonna make more money than you would have if you just probably stayed put or
Mhm.
didn't show up at all.
Mhm. So I'm hearing it's a mixed bag. I mean, you can move up. I mean, you probably should if you need to, differentiate yourself, right? But if you're Caleb Williams and going to go number one overall, and you and I had conversations about him, if we want to go specifically, I
Yeah.
felt that he was baked in as a number one when he won
Yep.
Heisman 2 years before he even came out. Now
Yeah.
again, he ended up being that, but was it baked in? I'm not sure. It was just my speculation, right? So then,
Right. Right.
right. So then there's a level of, it could really help you, right? And it could really hurt you too, right?
Yes. And I also think a lot of it comes down to overall, I don't think the combine matters because there are combine performers that do not do well in the NFL. That's why I was saying
Mm, mm,
there's a slow looking 40 and there's a fast looking 40. They can be the exact same time. And it just matters about like I think it has more to do with like the physiology of the person running.
mm. Oh, okay. Well, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like like John
Oh yeah.
Ross, right? He was the fastest wide receiver. He had 3 catches, I think, in the NFL. Right. So like it got him paid. It got him paid, and he
True,
wasn't going to be the guy,
true, true,
you
true,
know.
true,
So
true.
sometimes it can make you some money.
All right.
Um
So you got a couple graphics, don't you?
yeah, but
Or-
before we get into that,
My
I
bad.
would like to share our meme of the week.
Okay.
4-star QB Gunnar Rivers has committed to NC State. Gunnar is the son of 8-time Pro Bowl Philip Rivers. And this guy's comment here, we're about to get one of these every 1 to 2 years for the next decade, like Fast and Furious movies. I'm really excited for River Philip Rivers the Jr. It just some weird like
Mm-hmm.
Philip Tokyo Rivers drift. Like it's gonna be
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all these different
Oh,
things. Like
yeah. And if we don't get at least one other Rivers, that's gonna be weird actually at this point.
I think it's almost impossible that at least 3 of these kids don't make NFL teams
Oh.
at some point.
And is Philip done having kids? So we don't is
Who
there
knows? Who knows?
is
Is
there
he
an
done
end to
playing
this?
football?
Is he gonna
He didn't officially retire at the end of the season last year either.
well,
So who
no, no,
knows?
no, no. I mean, is he done having kids?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. But I mean, he has what, 11 kids, I think it is, 11 or
Right.
12.
So I mean, if he cranks out 3 more, then it gets, that gets
Yeah, he
higher.
can have
Then
an
they get
entire side of the football.
good times, good times, good times, good times. All right, all right. So how close did you follow the combine? Obviously, it was going on all day, so people have
Yeah.
jobs, but you
Yeah.
can, the way the structure is as far as the media, whether it be the NFL Network or ESPN or whatever, you can like get in and get some, get some quick bits. So
Yeah.
how much did you pay attention?
So I most of my combine exposure was through the eyes of like Bears beat reporters and things like that and who they were looking at.
Mhm.
Um it seems like it's a really really deep safety class and a very deep edge class. Like the
Oh,
terms generational edge class are starting to come out
oh,
here. Um
and that's a
and for
big
defense,
need, right? That's a big
yes, that's
need for
huge
a
need
lot
for
of
the
teams.
Bears.
Well, for the
For well,
Bears,
yeah,
but a lot of teams
yeah.
could use an edge. I mean, even the
Mhm.
Browns could use one outside, on the other side of Miles.
Right.
So
Right.
like, everybody needs one, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Everyone needs 2, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I thought it was interesting because the defensive tackles, on the other hand, it's elite at the top, and then it's very much like you're betting on talent towards the end of the second, early third round. That's where
Mm,
that kind of just drops off is like you're
mhm,
taking bets on guys.
mm,
Um,
mm, mm.
I was actually pretty happy the Penn Staters that I've been rooting for this, they showed up pretty well.
Okay,
They're
okay.
getting some buzz too. So
Okay, okay, okay. And again, it's those numbers aren't like they're not really like what I'm hearing is that they're not rules to go by.
no,
But if you don't do great, it's not going to help. If that, you know what I mean? If you show up fat or any of those things that we've seen in the
yep,
before, out or not fat, but out out of shape or not in game shape or You know what I mean? Like, that's may send a red flag and may slide you down a little bit, especially if we're talking about, you're in an elite class of, DNs. That's
Yep.
shuffling from what, Matt, 8 to 3. I mean, that could be from, what, middle of the first round to middle of the third round, and that money is
Right.
just wide, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, I think this is it's going to be a really interesting defensive class in general. Like
Mm.
the I forget what year it was, but like there was an insane defensive class when Urlacher
Okay.
came
Came
into the
in.
league.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like I think it could be something along those lines where like we're not really thinking about the offensive side as much. Some of the wide receivers kind of showed up and it was a little more interesting.
And before you get to that, or I'm sorry,
Mhm.
you go, and then I
Go
have a comment
go
on
ahead.
the defense. No, well, it's a great time for that, given our Super Bowl champ was clearly defense heavy. So all the people who are going to be, or all the, we're this a big copycat league at all. So if y'all are ready to go in defense hard and be that Seattle clone where we pick a journeyman guy out and plug him in and have a massive defense, it could be time for that right now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good class if you need to buff up your defense. I don't
Mhm.
know necessarily about the corners. I didn't really pay attention too much, mostly because again, the Bears have all their corners locked up
Mhm.
for the most part.
Mhm.
It would be surprising if they took a corner in the first 3 rounds,
Mhm.
unless someone fell that was just like absolutely shouldn't have been there. Um, so yeah, we
So you
could
ready for
we
the?
could get into the
Yeah, you ready for this? Is this your?
yeah
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Let's go. What's going on?
So this is the NFL's prospect grades. Um, Arvell Reese showed up in a big way. Um, Basically proved that he's going to be like the number one defensive player off the board according to these grades. Um, Mansour Delane, I haven't looked into at all. David Bailey had a really, really, really impressive showing. Um, I think he's also started to challenge for Arvil Reese's spot as the number one. Um,
Mm,
Tate showed up really well. Mendoza
mm,
did really well. Jeremiah
mm.
Love, everyone has him as the number one running back. I think he just stamped it that he'll be the first one taken.
Hold
Don't know
on.
when.
Hold on 1 second. Or I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go when you're done with Love. Come back or hold, and I want to go back to somebody quick. I'm sorry.
Sure. Um, yeah, Jeremiah Love.
Mm-hmm.
He stamped it that he's going to be like the first running back taken.
Mm-hmm.
I short of him having like a Jalen Carter esque 2 weeks before the draft or 3 weeks before the draft. I uh I don't think there's anyone dethroning him as the number one running back in the class.
Mm, mm, mm. I just wanted to talk about Mendoza, of course, or Mendoza.
Mhm.
So you feel he's locked in at number one with the Raiders, right?
Um,
Or is he
you
locked in as
know,
the number one QB for sure?
I think he's definitely locked in as the number one QB. I will say this. The Raiders would be stupid not to pick Mendoza, but there is a part of me that would see what other QB needy team would want the number one pick.
Oh,
And you retool like if they don't fix that O line, Mendoza is not going to succeed whatsoever. So they're either going to need to spend on an entire new O line in free agency. And there are some pieces. There's a young center that if he doesn't get franchise tagged, he's going to be like probably their number one target. But
mm,
they need pieces on the O line. They need a whole retooling. But I mean, he has Genty who looked bad behind behind that O line. So
Mhm.
Not bad, just not as impressive as we all thought he was going to be. I thought Genty. I was banging the table that I wanted the Bears to draft Genty last year, and it would have been a magical place for him to be last year. Just saying, but yeah. Also, Colston Loveland made it a magical year, so
Well, I was gonna say we ended the last how we ended the last double coverage. I don't think you should be saying anything, honestly. I'm just
yeah, no, it's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
anyway, back to this.
Um, yeah, so one thing that was interesting that I've seen a few places is that Ruben Bain Jr. did nothing but hurt his draft stock. I had him as a top 5 guy, and it sounds like he's making his way to the top 10 now. It sounds like one, if not two, defensive players have jumped his spot, which is crazy to me.
Wow. Okay.
But I could definitely I like I can definitely see him slowly going down the board here a little bit.
So it sounds like you think someone's going to get a deal.
I think someone could get a deal. But I have to look more into why people are saying that. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if I don't know the specifics of why he had a bad combine. He could he This is also one of those things. He might not care about a $3 million difference slotting down to get closer to a team that's maybe
Oh
in
yeah.
better spot. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Because here's
Oh
the
yeah.
thing too. There's probably like 3 guys in that top 10 that are like, man, if I can just get to number 9 or get to number 10 and have the Chiefs draft me. Because the Chiefs are in the top 10. They have a top 10 pick this year. One of those guys is going to be placed in a basically ready-made Super Bowl caliber
Ish.
team
Yeah. Sure.
ish.
Yeah. Sure.
So
Absolutely. That needs a lot of youth injection at this point, respectfully, y'all. They need a
yes, it
lot of
absolutely does. It absolutely does.
they need a new guard coming up and filling some of those
Mhm.
spots. What do you think about so where we at? We're about to talk about O-line, and I didn't hear you say O-line was a strength. But people need that. So this I would
Yeah,
love to see this guy end up in Cleveland.
Malgoa showed out apparently. He moved up the ranks a lot. And Fano had a pretty bad showing from what I was told.
Mm,
Which is kind of surprising. Because he's like kind of the consensus number 1 guy.
mhm,
I think I had him going to the Giants.
okay.
Um in my first mock draft. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing there, really. All right, I'm gonna switch to my next slide. Now,
Sure.
this is kind of what I think is interesting. So there's this NFL grade, which is it's kind of like based on some like weird, like some loose analytics and things like that. But
Mhm,
next gen stats is basically using AI and their tools to project what caliber of player you're going to get. So there's 4 elite names that they think are just going to be elite players. Jeremiah Love and Sonny Styles, who
mm,
had an absolute baller of a combine.
mhm,
Like, he was an absolute monster. Um, he was someone that was still available, I want to say pretty late in the draft, late in the first round, when I was doing my mock draft, and I think he might have made his way into the top 10. Um,
mm,
Kenyon Sadiq is
mm,
the tight end that I had the Browns taking to replace Njoku, and he also had a crazy combine. Showed a lot more than what everyone's given him credit for.
yeah,
And then Fano showed up on the so like it's one of those things where I don't know what makes up the NFL grade, but like I know the next gen stats are all based on analytics. So I lean more towards that analytical side of football. I've seen what it can do for a lot of teams.
Mhm.
Um, so I tend to lean towards that. And they think Mendoza is going to be just fine. Mendoza is in the same spot on both of these lists, just sitting at number 5.
Mm.
Um, but Fano had a elite. He was the rounding that out. David Bailey showed up really well. AJ Halsey was like another one. I'm not sure who Bryce Lance is. I don't think I peeped him in the first round at all.
Mm.
And Stowers rose as well.
Mm.
Um, and Jordan Tyson, I believe, was who I had uh the Chiefs taking with their draft pick. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how teams value, like, so if it was based on analytics, this is kind of what your top 10 would look like versus something like this, where if this is like your eye test plus old school NFL eye test, and like, oh, I'm in the mix. I think sometimes that works for quarterbacks, and I think sometimes the analytics are more on the quarterback side, things like that. Um, I think the eye test is definitely way more important for something like an edge rusher and tackles. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
so
Mhm.
yeah, that's pretty much yeah. So here was the big um like sum it all up type of thing. Ty
Mhm.
Simpson showed out, Jeremiah Love showed out, and Taylon Green, he's gonna be like the Jordan Love. He has an outside shot of being drafted,
Mm.
maybe first round. He
Mm.
might make it a 3 quarterback in the first round conversation. I think Ty
Mm.
Simpson's going to make it probably to the Steelers, and I think the Steelers are going to have a decision to make there with him.
Mhm.
Um, Especially with what's going on with Rodgers. And then the losers, Bane moving down a lot of draft boards. Tate didn't
And
have the best showing. And Diego Pavia, apparently nobody likes him. So
right. Back to Ty Simpson's real quick in the Steelers.
mhm.
You also would think that like him or not, and we don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but you would think that McCarthy would want his guy too, because I'm not sure what they think about Will Howard from last year. And when new coaches come in, they kind of want the feel, they want
Yep.
their own kind of prospect to go. So that
Yeah.
sounds about right to me, actually.
Yeah. I could see them going for him. Or if he's not there, like maybe they kick the tires on Taylor Green. I don't
Okay.
know how much of a riser he was. This is from Sportsnet, I guess, or
Right.
Sports News, Sports Night. I don't know, whatever. One of those things, SN or
Yep.
Sports Nation. Yeah, whatever.
Fortunate. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
but yeah, so I think that's interesting. And a lot of this stuff is going to depend on what teams do in free agency. So,
And
I,
before we get
go
to
ahead.
that, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
just a quick question. So last year, remember the draft was literally all about Shador Sanders. But
correct.
one of the things that people were honing in on was his interviews and how bad they went, and there was leaks,
Right.
and then there was people, all that. So was there any kind of stuff like that going on? Was there like did anybody bomb any interviews that we heard, or did the interviews play such a big part like it was perceived last year?
I didn't see anything that like was really sticking out. I mean, like it was pretty well known that Shador did not perform well in the interviews.
Numerous,
Yeah,
numerous.
numerous
It
sources were
wasn't just
talking about
one.
that. And yeah, and it
Right,
wasn't just one team kind of complaining about how he
right,
handled himself.
right,
Um,
right. So it wasn't anything like that this year. Is that what you're saying?
no, nothing big. I think Pavia might have had something like that.
I was
There,
gonna
there's
say
there's some stuff
Javier.
with him. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure what's going on really.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's had some ish around him, the whole time, and he's been
Yeah,
saying weird things, and his camp says weird things, and there's a whole lot. So yeah, yeah, no. If it didn't stand out, it didn't. But Shador was, that was wild. In fact, it was really, really wild with Shador, and I'm not trying to go there, but it seems like sometimes when a guy who's highly touted, doesn't have good conversations, that kind of leaks out, and I think it's
yeah,
kind of used, especially, it was definitely used, for an excuse for everybody to pass on Shador 600 times like they did. So, I was just seeing if there's anything even remotely close like that, because that was just wild last year. The way it all came out, and the way it was just numerous teams, and it was just a
yeah,
mess. So nothing
yeah,
really. I mean, that's a one-off, is what I'm saying, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I
Okay.
short of some really crazy news coming out about any of these guys,
Mhm.
I think teams are starting to be pretty set with who they want to draft, at least in the first round or two.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
um
So I'll let you
it'll
segue to the front
depend
office.
heavily on visits and stuff like that, and
Yep.
it'll also depend on free agency.
Yep. Yep.
So just a quick preview. We're gonna do like a full recap of how all of this stuff kind of falls in 2 weeks. Um, but PFF's top 10 free agents. Um, so Tyler Linderbaum, if he does not re-sign, he is going to be probably the number one target for like 6 teams.
Mhm.
They're going to skip right past the first two guys, and they're going right after the 26-year-old center.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
what team was it? Was he a Brown? Was he one of the guys leaving the Browns?
No, I'll look him up. Yeah.
I know
Um,
Wyatt Teller said he's like not coming back, right?
Wyatt Teller's not coming back, and
Yeah.
Boitano, I think, might be retiring. But as far as this guy goes, uh, let's see, um, uh, Vikings, right? Or no, Ravens, Ravens,
Ravens.
Ravens. Yep, Ravens. So,
Um,
which is interesting because they don't have. It's interesting that they're not trying to resign him. I guess they have somebody coming up, or new coach there too. So there's probably
yeah, I
something
mean,
in flux.
he could also get tagged. I don't know that necessarily everyone's been tagged yet.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
You
right,
know that free agency stuff, like all of those dominoes are going to fall within the next week. I
right.
imagine there's probably like I can't see. I think George Pickens is going to get tagged. Trey Hendrickson's finally going to be free of the Bengals. Linderbaum, I could see getting tagged. Um, Not so sure about Devin Lloyd. Um, I think the rest of these guys are pretty safe. I feel like I think the choice for the Ravens is going to be Owe or Linderbaum, and I think they're going to stick with Linderbaum for the tag if they can't extend him. Well, I guess they can't extend him now anymore because he is a designated free agent. So they would have to tag and then.
All right, all right. And we are at the 2 minute warning.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Just
So
wanted to say that, but we can go back to this real quick.
yeah, no.
Um,
I mean, I didn't really have too much more to say about free agency. Free agency is going to change so much because of the franchise tags that it's really hard to comment on. That's why I'm excited for our thing in 2 weeks. I did have a question for you though, Greg. If you're ready to move on from the free agency.
I mean, yeah.
So this meme was brought to my attention, and I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts and feelings on it. If you could display it on the screen. No, it's not a meme really. It's more of someone's
Oh,
statement
this.
here. Yeah, this.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Excuse my language, y'all. All right. Well, look. Basically, you pay the Browns will only possess 2 million in cap space. Their entire starting offensive line is entering free agency. They can free up some cap space by extending Deshaun Watson, sorry, for another year. You can see it in my voice how much I love that idea. They could also skip the pretense and offer their children to Satan.
How
And
does that make you feel, Greg?
well, look, man, I don't know where to begin. You play dumb games, you get dumb prizes. This Deshaun Watson deal that happened 400 years ago, it feels like, is still, without a doubt, fucking with the franchise. And not only is it that, it is firing coaches. It's got coaches fired. It's about to get a GM fired. And, you know, the only person that we can't fire is the man behind it all, which is Jimmy Haslam. And Browns fans generally are just effing tired of Jimmy Haslam. We've had enough. He doesn't want to, we think mostly collectively, that he doesn't want a real team, Matt, until he gets his palace out in the Cleveland suburbs and it's just Jimmy's world, just like Jerry's world. He's basically a Timu Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones does not win. When was the last time Jerry won anything? He came in, he splashed, and he hasn't won anything lately. He throws a whole lot of money around. He has a whole lot of bluster, and he just doesn't get it done. And we're just tired of Jimmy Haslam, but he's never going away. So if the Browns really are ever going to do anything, they're going to have to step in shit, because really, how do you do anything when you don't have $2 million in cap space? But I guess if you don't have any offensive linemen because they're all running away, then maybe you'll have cap space to get a whole bunch of new people in, so that eventually maybe you could put a team together. You got Deshaun Watson, you got Shador Sanders, you got a coach who is literally older than dirt. He's bringing in Dom Capers. Like, what is this, the 80s? What are we doing? What is going on in Cleveland? I will